Hello everyone. This particular presentation is a little bit more sacred to me and touches on aspects of my occult practice which I don't usually talk about very much in public. I've talked about this sort of stuff a little bit with some of the people I know fairly closely, but other than that, there's kind of hints of this in my writings, and occasionally I'll post on the boards about it, but most people really aren't aware of in any great detail of this particular side of me. And what is this particular side of me? This particular side of me is the artistic, magical side of me, my automatic drawing, which honestly is the source of the vast majority of my occult power and ability. And been a little hesitant to make a presentation about this, and I'll talk about why here in a second. But today's presentation is entitled "My Art Foretells the Future, Inspired and Automatic Artistic Endeavor and the Connection with Time and the Spirit Realm." First off, you'll have to excuse me for being a little out of breath and screwed up. I've had extendo COVID for the last 2 weeks. I'm well over the worst parts of it, but I'm still not nearly normal, but we'll get through this. And what inspired the making of this particular video now? Well, it's related to the last video I did, the video on the mental download which I received. I actually drew a really important set of images on that video, which it's there for people to see, and the date that I created the video is there to see too. I should probably look that up here, and I will in a second. But so we're going to talk about my latest prediction, and if you go back to that initial image on the cover, on the beginning of this presentation, you'll see the actual prediction which I made, which occurred. The latest prediction: blue swirl on a tile from my psychonautic vision drawn on March 18th, 2025. And you can see that blue swirl on this slide here down on the bottom left-hand corner, and also the larger representation of the blue swirls in the middle of the left-hand side. And if you compare that to the blue swirl seen in the sky over Europe on March 24th, 2025, you should be able to clearly see the similarities here. And if you were to go onto the internet and look up, just type blue orb seen in Europe, and do a search on Google, you get all sorts of headlines like mysterious blue spiral spotted over European skies. The Los Angeles Times said blue spiral over Europe dazzles and perplexes. Euro Weekly News: spiral UFO orb lights up skies across Europe. And then there's a bunch of videos on YouTube, like here's one from KTLA 5 called "Mysterious Blob Spotted in Night Sky," and you'll see it. Now, this was like global news, and honestly, if you knew my story, you'd understand why I'm not even particularly surprised at this, or even, I mean, I am astonished in my own way, because it still hits me every time, the magnitude of what this actually means. But it's happened to me so many times over the last 20 to 25 years that, honestly, I'm pretty used to it. As a truthful example, in the last, I don't know, I wrote down the number here, but the last 20 or so artworks that I created, drawing basically, but it'll work for any kind of artwork for me, like making sculptures or anything is included in that too, but I basically just draw most of the time. And in the last 20 or so images I've drawn and I've drawn them mostly for this channel, but I've been drawing other art also for my own purposes, and just because I get that artistic bug a lot. Out of the last 20 images, at least 6 of them, and maybe as many as 10, depending on how loosely you open up the boundaries to what counts as an actual prediction, at least 6 times out of the last 20, my art's predicted the future, and I can just prove it by showing the art and then showing how it predicted the future. To some degree, people have got to trust me on this, because, I'm not going to all the trouble to prove that I did this and did that. But, for some of the things, I just don't care. You can believe me or you cannot believe me. It's true, 100% true. In fact, it's more true than sometimes I would like. Honestly, used to get hit by panic attacks after this would happen. It kind of caused me to stop making art for a while. So it's pretty serious stuff to me. But But for this particular instance, you can look back on the video that I made on March 18th. It's right here on my channel. You can see it was drawn on like, or actually the video was made more like, I don't know what day the video was, but it was before the 24th when this orb appeared in the sky over Europe. And I actually drew the image on March 18th. So it was like, what, 7 days before, or wait, 18, so 6 days before I drew it, 6 days before it happened. And it's fairly normal. It can sometimes take a couple of weeks, sometimes even a month or two. And in a few big cases, like with some of the Keck drawings I did, it can take 5-10 years or more. But most of the time it's within a couple of days to a couple of weeks. And what's important to understand about this is, if you look up on Google, it says that the real reason that the blue orb appeared in the sky was the mysterious spinning lights were officially attributed to SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, which launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida on missions for the U.S. National Reconnaissance Office. But, and I don't know if that's really true or not, or if they're making it up. It's probably true. But the point isn't like what caused it, although that's very interesting too, and I always want to find that out for myself. The point is that I predicted it before it happened. It doesn't really matter what it was. I did this a long time ago. Like I have a painting where I predicted like a fireball type thing in the sky, and then a couple weeks later I was driving around in my city at night at a time I never go out, and I saw a fireball in the sky. And it turned out to just be like a satellite breaking up in orbit and going slowly across the sky. It was awesome to watch. But the point isn't what it was. Like, the point is that I predicted it, like with my drawing. And, you know, that's not supposed to be something that an artist can do. Like, no one has ever proven that you can predict the future with art to, like, the public's level of willingness to accept that as a truth. And I mean, there's definitely people that claim to predict the future, and they very well may. You know, and even got people like Nostradamus with all their predictions and stuff like that. But like, literally, if someone had been following me around with a camera for the last 2 months, they would already have 10, you know, around 10 proofs that I can predict the future with my art. And that's just in the last 2 months. If they've been following me for 20 years, they'd have hundreds of these. Like, it's become so normal to me and so commonplace to me that, like, I'm not even surprised anymore. Like, and again, you're not supposed to be able to predict the future with art, but I guarantee you can. And then there's an even deeper question: is it prediction or is it causation? And I think sometimes it's both. In some cases, it's much easier to prove that it's prediction and not causation. For instance, this, like, my drawing didn't make SpaceX launched the Falcon 9 rocket. That was going to happen whether or not I drew my picture. So now I know this particular drawing was a prediction, not a causation. But there's a lot of instances where it's a lot more questionable. Now, if you recall, my original drawing was a vision, and what's interesting in this particular case is that the drawing I did is not necessarily related to the vision, because when I drew the vision I had and I got to the tiles that I saw, I just remembered in my mind that I'd seen like a blue orb type swirl, and I'd seen planets, I'd seen meteors, and I saw comets and alien figures. So I just kind of said, okay, so I'm just going to draw like a blue swirl orb. And you know, here in this picture, it looks a little bit more like a galaxy than what you actually see here if you were to look up this picture in the news. But what I can tell you is, before I use the smear tool and on the tablet in Procreate to make it look a little bit more like a galaxy, it looked just like this picture you see here that was from the news, just like it. I smeared that middle part there where you've got kind of the two like curly sections that combine into one. You know, I looked at that and I thought, it looks a little bit too much like an infinity symbol or something like that, or a 6-9 symbol or something, so I better smear this. So I know that, and I can't prove it because I didn't save like the previous version. But again, you know, believe me or don't believe me, but even what I got there is still pretty close to what you see there on the right. But I'm telling you, before I smeared it, they looked exactly the same. Don't overestimate your ability to remain level-headed in the face of genuine magical power, as evidenced by things like magical art. you'd be surprised how hard something like this can hit a person. Like, I'm not a hugely strong person, although I'm a lot stronger now than when I was younger. And I'm not a hugely weak person. I'm kind of average. Like, and I can, if I can take a lot when I really have to. Yet, this stuff has hit me really hard. Like, I've been doing these kinds of drawings. Like, I'll draw images. It used to just be like automatic drawings would be all I would draw. And, when I did automatic drawings, and things that I draw would happen. And it stunned me so much. Like, the first time I saw it, I thought, oh, that's really weird. Second time I saw it, uh-oh, maybe this isn't just, a coincidence. So then the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 200th time I did it, it's like, holy shit, what's going on here? How come I have this ability to, predict / cause the future with my automatic art, and nobody else I've ever heard of has that ability? And like, that's not something that's supposed to be able to happen. And it happens to me like once every couple days now. Like, literally, if I were to just go on this channel and just show me in the process of drawing pictures and then follow up, it would quickly become fairly common knowledge that what I'm saying is 100% true. And who knows, I might decide to do that. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why I would try it, and there's a lot of reasons why I wouldn't. And it's not really related to me worried about whether or not I could prove it. I definitely can prove it. There's deep issues here that maybe we'll talk about in another video. This really deserves like a 2 or 3 hour video, this whole subject. This is kind of just an introduction to it. But again, don't underestimate the creepiness factor. Like, it can hit a person pretty hard. Like, I can recall 10, 15 years ago, I drew a picture of a comet hitting Saturn, and I showed it. I only show this to people close and around me. Like, other people don't really know this. They might get a hint of it when they look at my book or books, where there's the automatic drawings. I say they've got a ton of power, but I never really say in what ways. So I show this picture of a comet hitting Saturn to my mom, and I say, I just drew this. It's weird. It just came out of an automatic drawing. And then 2 days later, it comes out on the news that 2 days later, a comet hits Saturn. And like, that creeped her out, creeped me out. And that once actually sent me into like a panic attack. And I'm not a weak person. Like, for me to get into a panic attack, that's a major thing. Like, it doesn't happen. Like, I could get my ass kicked, or I could get hit by a car, or I could get sick, and I'm not going to get a panic attack. But if I draw something like a comet 2 days before it hits a planet, and then I see on the news that actually happens, it really hits me hard. It's like this feeling of the massive distance in space between me and the comet, and how could I possibly know that? And, what does this mean about the worldview I and all humans have been holding about how the world really works? It can be rough to have your worldview undermined on a regular basis. Like, people wonder why I'm so weird. Well, one of the reasons is because for 20 plus years, every couple of weeks or so, I'd get shocked out of my worldview to come face to face with the fact that humans are capable of doing things that we're not supposed to be able to do, and the universe works in ways that it's not supposed to work. And that's pretty rough. Like, even now, I'm still affected by it pretty hard. It's why I don't do that much drawing. Like, I just basically started it up again in the last 6 months. I hadn't done it for like 7, 8, 9 years. I got afraid of my own drawings because everything that happens out of my drawings is not good. Like, I drew a prediction of the big earthquake in, like, I don't know what year it was, 2006, 2009, something like that. Maybe I can find it here. 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami. I drew an actual image. It was a monkey's head, and it was an automatic drawing. And in the center of the monkey's head, there's an arrow pointing to the spot in the Indian Ocean where there was basically precisely where the epicenter of this earthquake was. And I drew it 2 weeks before the earthquake happened. And that earthquake was one of the worst natural disasters of the 21st century. And again, that's not a causation. Like, I didn't cause that to happen. And thank God, because, you'd think, oh, that'd be cool. You have that kind of, no. You can imagine how much that would shake you up if you knew, you had the ability to do something like that. And clearly and logically, that was a prediction, because that earthquake's going to happen whether I draw the picture or not. But why was I able to predict it? Like, what told me that earthquake was going to happen? What intelligence knew that an earthquake was coming, and was able to transmit that to me through my automatic drawing? And why? Like, what's the point of it? Like, because there's no way I'm going to look at that drawing and an arrow pointing to a spot in the ocean and think, oh, that's going to be the epicenter of an earthquake. So I can't warn everybody about it. And I don't even know what it means till after it happens. And these are all things that I think about a lot. I should get that picture out of my closet and show. It's a painting, actually. It's a fairly large painting. Well, no, I guess it's that big. It's on an acrylic board. So never underestimate the creepiness factor. And that's far from the creepiest things I've seen. Yeah, and I was trying to remember why I don't talk about this stuff very much. So here's some recent examples that I've had of just predicting the future off simple drawings I've made for this channel. I told you guys about this one in one of my videos. If you've watched all my videos, I drew this picture on the bottom right corner, went to 4chan like 1 or 2 days later, and this picture on the top left corner, I ran into it. And again, you could say, oh, well, you just secretly went into 4chan and used an alternate identity and you posted this picture to make it appear that it looks like your original picture. No, I didn't do that. Not worth the effort. And but again, I'm not, the point of this particular video is not to prove that this was real. You're going to have to take my word for it. But yeah, that happened. Here's another example. I drew this astral construct and I put up a little short video. If you check my shorts on this channel, and I went on 4chan a day or two later, and here was this picture someone else had posted on the top left corner. And you think, if you're using your rational mind, you think, well, has someone hacked your tablet or whatever and is seeing your pictures before? No, I never hook my tablet up to the internet, and I keep it on airplane mode, and no, it didn't happen. Nobody's hacking, and even if they were, they still never would have found these images, and because they wouldn't have known what they were or even what they were for. Plus, they can't get onto it. I don't even have the Wi-Fi on here. I almost never turn it on. But again, this isn't about proof. Believe me or don't believe me, well, what I'm telling you is completely true, and I put my word on it. I put my honor on it. I'm a very normal person, and in many ways a very underwhelming person in a lot of ways. I have my moments, but man, I have a lot of bad moments too. And but this is the one thing that separates me from everybody else I've ever met or heard about, is this. And I've never really come to terms with it, what it means, why I have it, why other people don't have it. Then again, could other people get it? Probably, because I've heard other people have used my techniques, and I've heard some interesting stories from people that sound very real, because they know things that they wouldn't have known if they hadn't actually experienced things that I don't necessarily talk about, or I've had so much experience with this, 20, 25, I don't know, too much experience with this now. My art has been causing manifestations and magical effects since the age of 24. Some effects of my artwork have been quite profound. Some effects occur at a lower scale. It's not at all uncommon for me to draw something and then have it come out at the national or even international news that I predicted. So I predict large-scale things a lot. I also predict really small-scale things. I'll have an example of that here. I predicted a commercial I saw before I saw it. I predicted stuff in music videos that I watch before I even see the videos. Up again now, prediction or causation. Prediction appears to be a clear effect of magical art. Yeah, that's true. Logically, it's hard for me to argue with the fact that I'm predicting stuff, because I'm not causing tsunamis and I'm not causing rockets to launch. These things were planned far in advance. And it was going to have that effect when it went through the atmosphere or whatever. So I know prediction is part of it, and that's pretty cool in and of itself, and it really shakes up people's worldviews when they experience it for the first time. Some of the people close to me have actually experienced this stuff, and the creepiness factor is real, and the shaking the worldview factor is real. I mean, worldview is pretty important to someone's stability. So one of the reasons why I tend to appear weird is seeing a lot of things that mess with my equilibrium and stability, but I've still managed to maintain pretty strong sanity, in my opinion. Like, I can be really boring sometimes. I'm so sane. And the weird thing is, even the stuff that I'm talking about now, it's 100% sane. It sounds insane, but it's 100% sane because it actually happened. Like, there's nothing crazy about me actually saying this. It's just society labeling it as crazy and weird because it's so different from what's supposed to be possible, so they just discount it automatically. But I know that it's not even crazy. It's just me reporting on I'm being a scientist in a way, even though I don't like scientists. I'm just reporting what happens after I take certain actions. Causation is a less clear but very likely effect of some of my magical art, and I have reasons for saying that, because sometimes I like write automatic words over pictures, and those automatic words will affect the outcome of the image that's underneath it in the picture, and tends to suggest that time doesn't work exactly as we may think it does. And I don't think that should come as a surprise to anyone, because we really don't know much of anything about time, except maybe at a what's the word? This COVID shit's really got me screwed up. I don't know what the word is, but I'll come back with a much longer video about this sometime fairly soon if I decide to do that. So we don't really understand the true nature of time, and it may be the case that a prediction can be the same as a cause in some cases, and that's a logical contradiction, but I think we're dealing with planes and levels of reality in which those rules don't apply. Here's a few more examples of recent predictions that I made. For instance, I just drew this picture like, I don't know, 7 days ago. This is clearly an automatic drawing, and it's not even done. Like, a lot of times these effects will happen before I'm even finished with the drawings. And the part in particular that you want to focus on is the bottom right-hand corner. You've got kind of this goth chick with a kind of a fashionable hat, and she's got like a red goth dress, the kind that are tight, like, what do you call them, corsets or something. And she's kind of got a spider type thing over the middle of her chest, like a necklace. And she's got long black gloves, and she's got a weird like necklace type thing. So anyway, I drew this picture, and then I wrote the word Seattle over it because like the pencil marks over it look like the word Seattle. So I drew the word Seattle. Then a couple days later, I see I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to find this or not. You can certainly try. I got a commercial like on YouTube starting that day, 2 days after, for a place called The Cramp in Capitol Hill in Seattle. It's like a gothic boutique that sells a lot of weird clothes, but I think that clothes look pretty good. And there was a woman in it singing the song "Denial is a River" by Doechii, and it's an interesting song. I kind of like the little part they used for the commercial. And in the commercial, what you don't know about this automatic draw on the bottom right is that it has layers, or it had layers. And I was trying to decide how I would dress this girl. So first I had her like in a red corset, and then I added black gloves, and then I added like a fancy hat, and then I added cool boots, and then I added like a spider necklace. And I kind of erased some and drew over others. And what's really weird is in this commercial, the woman who's singing this Doechii song, she goes through like most of the outfits that I drew in my automatic drawing. If you can find that commercial, she'll have the long black gloves on for one. It like shifts between her in different outfits. One of them, she's got the long black gloves. One, she's got the spider necklace. One, she's got a red gothic corset dress. Another, she's got a black gothic corset dress. She got like fancy hats. She's got necklaces, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, and this has happened to me so many times in the last 2 months that I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. So I predicted another one. And then I thought, but, you know, as I always do, and like anybody with a rational, sane mind would do, is they think, well, did I really predict it, or am I just reading too much into it? And it said on the commercial, it said New York Exchange. So I didn't make that connection with this Capitol Hill store, which I actually walk by occasionally. I know where it is. I just never been in it. And I thought, oh, so this is in New York City. But then I realized after a second, oh wait, New York Exchange isn't like the name of the company that, like, I think there's 2 stores there. I think one of them might be called the New York Exchange, and then the one next to it is called The Cramp, who did the commercial. Then I oh, but there's that word Seattle over it, so that's what that means. And then I looked up the commercial. I checked the phone number, went through the links, and this is the Capitol Hill place. And now you see why the word Seattle is there. Kind of the way that these automatic drawings often work. If you go on to the next two, here's some predictions from the past. Like, for those of you who saw the documentary You Can't Kill Meme, you might think, I would think the general public probably thinks I'm crazy for saying stuff like, I was involved in the manifestation of Keck, and just because, like, I drew an automatic drawing with a frog magician at the bottom. And if you look at that image on the left, the frog magician is at the bottom, and he's got a wizard blue hat and 2 red eyes, and it's half male, half female. So that's Keck and Keket, one eye for each, 1 red eye. And then the frog hands are up like this, and a lot of people don't know it says I am me underneath it. There's a, and I can understand that. Like, if you don't know me, and even people who've read my book don't really know me that well. It's only the people close to me who would understand why I would say that. But if you judge what I'm saying after hearing just this little bit of what's happened to me over the last 25 years, you might start to understand why I think that automatic drawing is proof that I manifested Keck. And it isn't just that. There's a huge long story behind it. There's actually a couple of paintings before that. The original drawing that I did of Keck was actually on a Greyhound bus going back from Las Vegas in the desert. Then I drew a painting that I still have, a big painting of it, and I should show that. That will go into and the whole story will go into the longer video if I decide to do that. Just a little quick, God, I'm really getting hit by this stuff again. Just a little quick introduction to some of the things that occurred in my past and why I think the way I do. If you look on the right, it's interesting. You can go both ways. You can draw the past. Like in this case, I made a sigil called I Desire Image Ancient Shaman Iceland, and then I got that when I drew it. I've had more than one picture that seems to show me images from the past. So let's see. I've been forced to accept the reality of the shamanic nature of my art many times, hundreds, if not even 1,000 times by now. Yet the magic of art remains very occult, even within the occult still. Like, there's tons of people into the occult. And I've talked about this stuff openly. I've written about it in books. I've posted about it on boards. And still, nobody's getting into automatic drawing, hardly. It's still occult within the occult. Like, people know about Austin Osman and Spare and all that. It's just they don't really do it. Like, or maybe they try it and it doesn't work for them. I don't really know. But I'm telling you, there's a tremendous amount of power in art. Like, I don't have to do ceremonial magic. I don't have to do rituals. I've done all that stuff, and I've done it all multiple times. Like, I've done voodoo, Santeria, ceremonial magic. I made all the instruments, the wands, the staffs, and that all works to an extent, for me anyway. But nothing works like this automatic drawing, and this automatic drawing works whether I want it to or not. And it's not just automatic drawings. Like, that's another thing people don't understand about me. Like, any art that I make, if it's in the least bit, like, beyond my conscious control, even if I'm just sitting there just trying to purposely draw a picture and use no automatic art, it will still happen now. It happens more reliably when I do automatic art, but, like, I've drawn so many non-automatic images now, even for this channel. Like, these images I just showed you, like, of the 2 things that showed up on 4chan, that was non-automatic art. I was purposely trying to draw something with my conscious mind, and it still had magical effects. What does the reality of the predictive ability of inspired art suggest about time in the universe? It suggests, for one thing, guarantee you that the current mainstream human worldview of how the universe works and of the nature of time and the nature of art are all wrong. Not 100% wrong, maybe, but they're wrong. They don't get it. They don't understand what art is and why we have it. I know a lot of things about that through my experience, a lot of deep things, and again, those would come out in a longer video if I decide to make it. How many predictions before acceptance? Like, if I were to sit there and make a video of all my automatic drawings, how many times would it take before people start accepting this is real? Like 20, 30, 40, 50? Like, the first couple times people will just say it's I'm just reading things into my environment because I think I see something that looks like it in my art. But after it happens a third time and a fourth time and a fifth time and a sixth time and a seventh time and an eighth time and a 200th time, then will people believe me? Like, it's astonishing to me how difficult it actually is. Like, if I'd actually wanted to get out there and prove that I could do this, I can't do it. Like, I've told people, I put out a book, like, I said, do this, I can do amazing things, nothing, like, it's not that easy to change what the world believes, even with proof. Like, here's some proof right here. Think it's going to change the world? I doubt it. Highly doubt it. I highly doubt more than 100 or 200 people are going to watch the video. So what does that say? Like, well, it suggests that even in a so-called free society, the strength of the boundaries and the gatekeeping controlling human worldviews is very strong. So there's some sort of an illusion there. We have this illusion that, if something is true, you can just show it to people and they'll believe it. No, the gates are too strong. The boundaries are too strong. Like, the worldviews are there, even in the U.S. and so-called free countries, mostly by force. It's power of various types: economic power, gatekeeping power. I can't just prove this, even when I prove it. Like, if I were to say, I'd probably have to do something to the extent of, like, going out and saying, I'm going to draw a lightning bolt coming down from heaven, and then I'm going to paint it, I'm going to film a YouTube video, and it's going to come down right in front of me. If I did that, maybe I'd start getting a little attention. But I can't necessarily do that. Although I wouldn't write it out, because I've done things like drawn on rocks and stuff and made thunder happen, like, immediately. And rainstorms, like, I drew a picture of a rainstorm a couple of days before the area I lived in got hit by the worst rainstorm it had been hit in 25 years. And the news didn't even know it was coming, so I didn't know it was coming. So even at that level, I could do a surprising amount, but I still don't think people would believe it. Like, I still don't think the news would cover it. I still don't think word would spread. I've got this view that most people are idiots, and when I say most people are idiots, I don't necessarily mean they're stupid in the sense of, like, they don't understand anything and they can't communicate anything. No, that's not what I mean. I mean, it's kind of a catch-all term for lots of things. Sure, a little bit of a stupidity, but a lot of people are brainwashed. A lot of people can't see what's right there in front of them. A lot of people can't perceive their surroundings. A lot of people purposely discount things they see if it doesn't bring them power because they don't want to give other people power, which all goes down to too much selfishness and a desire for domination. There's so many things tied in there. But such a large percentage of the human population is like that. That's why we have the worldviews that we have. And the worldviews that we have are BS. And they're in there by force. I wish I could talk more right now, but I'm clearly getting screwed up by this COVID shit again. So, I'm going to end the video right now. I hope you enjoyed it, and, maybe I'll come out with a longer video about this. I gotta get off here while I'm still talking. All right. Have a good day, people.